For those of you that have left Wildstar at some point after launch, this video will give you a brief overview of the changes that have been made and the additions that may interest you. So the first change I'm going to go over is the random dungeon queue rewards, or I should say instance queue rewards, because it applies to pretty much anything: ship hands, ventures, dungeons, and battlegrounds. So basically, if you queue for a random instance, whether it be a ship hand, adventure, or dungeon, you get a bit of a reward on completion of it. For ship hands, it's a bit smaller, 5 gold, enough EXP for a single Elder Gem, and a little shipmate stipend, which gives renown. For adventures, it's 10 gold, or I'm sorry, 15 gold, a bit more experience, and another consumable item. And then for veterans, it's 30 gold, as well as something for a new currency called Glory, which I'll go over. Additionally, they reworked the raid Datascape, which used to be a 40-player raid, into a 20-player raid, so that you don't have as much trouble getting as many people together to do the raid, and also because 40-player raids are usually really hard on machines to handle displaying 40 players, so it's only 20 now, and it's reworked accordingly to be clearable with 20 people, but it's still challenging. Also, for the raid Genetic Archives, which is a 20-player raid, still a 20-player raid. They haven't changed the raid much, except for a few changes to the mechanics. I don't know if it's a nerf or whatnot, but mainly just fixing bugs and whatnot. Anyways, with Genetic Archives, they made the attunement a lot easier. You still have to get the reputation, there's still world bosses, but the most notable change to the attunement is that the medals for the dungeons, you no longer have to get gold, you just have to get bronze. So basically, you have to clear all the veteran dungeons to attune for it, which it's not nearly as hard as when you had to get gold, because you had to speedrun it, and it could be quite frustrating to have to speedrun. They also changed dungeon rewards, so basically you get more loot for a higher medal. So you want to go for the medal, but it's not needed. And they also reworked it so it's not time-based, but rather, well, it is time-based, but like you have to complete all the objectives rather than speedrunning. And then they introduced a new currency called Glory, which you get for dungeons and raids. There's a mount you can get with it, some flares, some cosmetics. You also get dungeon and raid gear from it, but you have to beat the encounter to actually buy it, so you can't just buy raid gear without beating the raid first. So if you're frustrated with waiting for a certain item to drop, you can just get it with Glory. It's no longer available for Elder Gems. Renown is what most stuff is used for now. It used to just be for furniture in your house and other things. Now it's used for blue and purple gear. There's a variety of useful items you can get with it. There's also mounts and other cosmetics you can get with Renown. It's much nicer. Also for amps and runes, amps and ability power unlocks, they're a lot easier to get now. It used to be you had to either buy them, you had to find them off of a rare monster drop, or you had to get them with Elder Gems. Now there's a lot of ways that you can get them. You can get them through PvP with Prestige. You can get them with, if you have enough reputation, you can buy it from reputation vendors for a fair price. If you get a certain medal, I think on either ship hands or adventures, you can get it through that with just a little bit of renown, not much. And it's just overall a lot easier to get. Also, for PvP changes, used to be that with PvP, you would get maybe 2 or 3 pieces of PvP gear, and then you just go the rest raid gear, and it would actually be much more effective to do that than to have a full PvP set. Well, they fixed that. Now PvP gear is best for PvP, and so you no longer have people running PvE gear in PvP. Also, they changed the way you get battlegrounds, or I should say PvP gear. It used to be that for the better gear you needed it to be a certain rating. Well, they got rid of that because the rated queues used to be dead. So now there's no rating requirements to buy the gear. You can just get it, and the first tier of gear can actually be bought with gold now. So when you first hit 50, you can just get that gear and be good to go. You don't need to just be super far behind when you're playing PvP, because you can get good entry level gear to start. And then as you continue playing PvP and you get yourself some prestige, you can get the tier 2 and tier 3 set, which used to have a rating requirement, which is quite effective. It's actually the best tier. You can get it by playing PvP and collecting prestige. And then if you want to put runes on it, you no longer need to run PvP to get the materials, because if you go to the consumables vendor, you can get Elden runic modules with prestige, and you can also get a bag of signs, which is used to craft the runes. So you can get your gear and rune it up and all of that just by playing PvP. You no longer have to step into PvE if you don't want to for PvP. As for upcoming changes, there is a new 20-player raid that's supposedly coming in Drop 5, which there's no required attunement. There's like a pre-quest that you can do for story purposes, but it's not required. It's only if you want it. Supposedly he'll have variable difficulty, so probably like an easy and a hard mode. I'm thinking the easy mode, I don't know if it'll be puggable, I don't know if it'll be a bit challenging, but there's supposedly multiple levels of difficulty. And additionally, there's a new upcoming system called contracts, which it's essentially, to me, it seems kind of like a daily thing. You get a few a day, and it's just basic tasks. If you want to go do something on your own, it gets you a little bit of extra gold if you're looking for it. It's really quite nice. So PvP was dead a few months ago, so if you quit because of that, it's actually quite alive nowadays. If you queue for a battleground, you usually get in with a few minutes, at least on Dominion side, which I'm on. I heard it's a little bit longer for Exile, but not too bad. Also, it's quite rewarding to queue for battlegrounds in PvP. It used to be that if you hardly got anything for doing PvP. Queuing for dungeons and whatnot are really rewarding now, so you no longer have to grind to get your gold. It's quite rewarding to just queue for things and play the game rather than just collecting galactium all day in your house. You actually enjoy the game and get rewarded for it, so it's a lot nicer. And overall, there's a lot more casual content if you want to play casually. The game's still challenging. There's more PvE content coming out. There's actually a new, for you PvPers, there's a new 15 vs 15 battleground called Daggerstone Pass that came out in the second drop. Quite nice. And overall, there's just a lot more to do. You're more rewarded for existing systems. They fixed a lot of issues that people had. Unfortunately, the performance is still bad. I'm on a Radeon HD 7870, and I'm here only getting about 20 FPS in Ilium, so if you quit because of performance issues, they might have made slight improvements, but overall it's still pretty bad. But if you quit because you felt there wasn't enough casual content, if you felt the PvP was broken, or anything of that matter, a lot has really been fixed, so you should really check it out. There's a 10-day trial, I believe, you can apply to your account if you've already played, and it'll give you a little bit of extra time to see if you like the changes to the game. That's all for now. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'll try to respond, and thanks for watching.